Hello and welcome to this month's Marriage Challenge podcast, brought to you by Care for the Family. I'm Tim Reynolds and I'm thrilled to be joined today by Chick and Margaret Yuill. They're going to be talking about the subject of having fun together as a couple, exploring the importance of humour in a marriage and sharing some of their own experiences. Chick and Margaret have been married for 45 years and live in Manchester. Together they served in leadership positions within the Salvation Army for 35 years. Chick is a communicator, broadcaster and author. Margaret spends much of her time raising funds and awareness for the homeless charity Just Life. Chick and Margaret, welcome. It's great to be with you today.
Good to have you with us, thank you.
Now, to start off, why don't you both share a little bit about how you first met?
Well, that's easy. I was living in Bournemouth. We were 15 at the time. It's 52 years ago this summer. We were in church on a Sunday morning. I was singing in the junior choir. Chick was in the congregation, and he spotted me across a crowded room.
Yeah, I did. I spotted her and I thought, she's really nice. And at the end of the service, I asked her out. And of course, she was all over me like a cheap suit, as you can imagine. But it really was a kind of love at first sight, which always sounds kind of sentimental, but it really was like that. And the rest, as I say, is history. Eventually, Margaret came up to live in Scotland and we got married 6 years later, if I'm right, Mark?
You are absolutely right. Married on September the 28th, 1968. And so far, it's going quite well.
It's been very good.
Excellent. Well, let's look at today's topic, the idea of having fun together as a couple. So you've been married for 45 years. How has humour and having fun together played a part in your relationship during those years?
I think it's crucial because we often tell people marriage is hard work. It isn't a bed of roses. It is you got to work at it. But if you just emphasise that, it can make... Well, it's like the guy who said, marriage is an institution. Who wants to live in an institution? And it is humour. If there's no humour and fun in a marriage, it's just hard, plodding work. And that kind of joy and fun and a lot of laughter just is what makes a marriage... It's a kind of lubricant that makes it all work much better.
Yeah, I think I'm very fortunate because Chick is one of the funniest men that I've ever met. And his daughter described him just yesterday on Facebook in her Father's Day tribute. She said he's the silliest dad ever. There's a lot of fun in him. And I think I'm very fortunate for that reason because he makes me laugh a lot. And we do have a lot of fun together. I mean, over the years we've been known to play hide and seek. He's been known to leap out of the wardrobe to surprise me, bang his head on the ceiling in the process on one occasion. We have a lot of fun.
So what kind of things do you do to have fun together? Or has it always been the same over the years, or has it changed as the years have gone by?
I think it's changed over the years. I mean, I'd want to say it's not just about doing things together, because there are times when you've just got to be getting on with the business of life. I think it's about an attitude to life. It's about a pleasure in each other's company. It's about... Conversation for us is always a mixture of serious stuff and just silly stuff. But we also do a lot of stuff together. I think we've run the marathon together 5 times, Mark, if I'm right.
Possibly.
I think it's 5 times. And we actually celebrated our 43rd wedding anniversary by running the Dublin Marathon together. Gosh. Last 9 miles was torrential rain.
Yes, freezing cold.
And that's fun?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, and that was fun. And when we moved into this house 7 years ago, we had huge fun choosing things for the house and just the pleasure of putting them where they are. And every day we wake up in this house thankful for the fact that this is our home. We get a lot of fun out of that.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point. I think gratitude is really important. Not just a kind of contentment, that's fine, but a deep gratitude every day that, life is a gift, your marriage is a gift. It's a joyful thing. And I think that kind of changes your attitude and your outlook. That's very important for us.
Have there been times in your married life where you've had to be more intentional than other times in terms of having fun together and making that time for yourselves?
Yes. I can remember when we just had Katrina and she didn't sleep very well. you wouldn't describe life as fun at that time particularly.
That was a hard year.
We got quite angry with each other at times then, because we were tired basically, I think, and then of course similarly when we ended up having two quite young. So I honestly cannot really remember back that far, but I think there's been a thread of fun running through. I think there has to have been, because you're who you are and you're such a lot of fun in you.
Yeah, and we always had fun with the girls and tried to make... And in those days we didn't have a lot of money, so you couldn't always be doing things. But we always tried to make home a kind of fun-filled place with lots of jokes and playing tricks on each other and just that kind of general atmosphere of fun, of joy, of laughter.
So some couples will find it very easy to have fun together and enjoy doing things together, a similar sense of humour. Other people, not so much. They might be thinking, well, actually, my partner has a different sense of humour, likes to have fun in different ways. What would you say to those people?
Well, we do spend quite a lot of time doing different things these days. We spent a lot of years working very close together and working every day together. Suddenly, we were doing things separately, and so we do still have lots of things that we do separately, and although we have similar sense of humour, I think our likes and dislikes are different in many ways. I have friends I meet up with regularly and on my own, and Chick similarly. I'm quite content to sit doing art stuff and quietly getting on with that.
No, I think different hobbies. I mean, like, I love football. One of the joys of living in Manchester is to be 5 or 6 miles from Old Trafford. Now, Margaret has only come with me twice. And the last time she came was when United played Aston Villa in the game that gave them enough points to win the league. This was not last season, you'll understand. There's 3 things I remember from that game. They're playing Aston Villa. 20 minutes into the game, Margaret says, I think Stoke are doing quite well. I said, well, they might be, but they're not down there. The other thing was, Van Persie scored a great goal. Margaret had no idea how good a goal it was. But the best bit of all was in the second half, after 10 minutes, her face brightens up and she suddenly says, oh, they're going in the opposite direction now. So she didn't normally come to football with me, but part of the fun again is, you know, when I come home and watch it, and she's got no idea why you'd want to watch the same football match twice, but differences like that differences like that become a source of fun, because you pick gently on each other's different characteristics.
A source of fun, but also a source of our relationship was very rocky for a while, because I accidentally deleted the Arsenal Man United game, was it, when Man United won 8-2, and I thought he'd finished watching it and he hadn't.
Not a good day.
That was a day of fun.
At least 100 times, and yeah.
And for couples who maybe find themselves at the minute in a period where they're just not having a lot of fun together, they need something to kind of kickstart that. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I think all behaviours need to be practised, and sometimes when you don't feel very fun-filled, you got to try and do something. It's a little bit like I often say to couples, tell each other, I love you, even when you don't, especially when you don't feel like that, because in the saying of it, you reinforce it. And I think sometimes you've got to kind of get yourself out of a hole like that. I would also say to couples, of course, if you're really in a difficult period where there isn't a lot of fun and joy in your marriage, don't be too proud to get help. Talk to somebody outside. That's not a failure. To let something fester is failure. But I think, like everything else, you just have to practice it. Behaviours have to be learned. And sometimes you have to take yourself out and have an evening out together when you didn't especially feel like it. And sometimes by the end of the evening you think, I'm so glad we did that. Like as a runner, half the time I don't feel like running. But when I get out there, it feels a whole lot better.
So probably the most difficult time for couples to have fun together is when they're going through tough times or challenging times. What's your experience of that?
Yes. Well, we did, a couple of years ago, it must be now, Chick was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so we faced all the uncertainty of that and the fear of that. And however, we had excellent advice, and we live in Manchester. The Christie Hospital is 5 miles away from where we live. And so eventually Chick was there having radiotherapy, and he had to go on a daily basis for 4 weeks. And so he had the first appointment in the morning, which meant he never had to wait, and there was such a lot of good about that. So when the treatment was over, he'd phoned to let me know he was on his way home. But instead of saying, right, my treatment's over, I'm on my way home, put the coffee on, he sang a song. So to find humour in the middle of really a difficult time. But then I recognise that there's a lot of humour in this man, and for some people maybe that wouldn't be appropriate. But
I think you can find humour in most situations. That's not to say they're not sad, but one of the great learning things in our life has been it's possible to be very sad about something without allowing it to make you unhappy. That's a really profound thing to discover. So when you discover, my cancer diagnosis was pretty serious. They said to me the burden of the disease was very heavy. If they didn't deal with it, I got 3 years left. That's kind of dark place. But even in the midst of the tears, and we had some uncertain times, and you look at the possibility of death, but even in that, there's, the humour. If you've made that a practice of joy and happiness and fun, it bubbles up even in situations like that. Now, I also want to recognise that I was very fortunate. I wasn't in a lot of pain. I wasn't feeling desperately ill, though I had a really potentially serious condition. But I do think that practice of gratitude and joy and laughter pays dividends, especially at times like that.
They sometimes talk about having an attitude of gratitude, don't they?
Yeah,
And that can really help.
Yeah,
definitely.
So every episode we ask our guest couple to give us a marriage challenge. What challenge would you like to give our listeners for the month ahead?
Something very simple. One of the things we've discovered is that often couples, project so much onto the future. When that holiday comes, that's when we'll relax and have fun. When that special evening comes, and those are all great. But I got a little maxim: divert daily. Every day, find a space in the day where you do something nice together. Now, it might just be having a cup of coffee. It might be watching a favourite programme. It might be having a walk. But every day, intentionally and deliberately, take 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be longer than that. Just to do something really nice to each other, with each other. Say something nice to each other. Enjoy something nice together.
The divert daily thing, so important, and actually thinking about it, the cup of coffee together is probably one of the things that gives us the most pleasure. It's a little ritual. We have an espresso coffee maker. We take time to make the coffee together, and then we'll sit down and enjoy it together. It's not just a case of putting instant coffee in a cup. It's a little routine. And another thing, especially this time of the year, that really gives us pleasure is actually watering our plants and the hanging basket. We've got this little array of pots outside, and the pleasure that gives us. And simple pleasures.
Well, we hope that those of you who are listening will join us for this month's challenge. Drop by our Facebook page and let us know how you got on. If you have any helpful tips or comments around this topic, then please do share with us. Well, that's the end of this edition of the Marriage Challenge. My thanks to Chick and Margaret for joining us and sharing some real wisdom with us today. Do join us again next month for another Marriage Challenge. See you soon.
You have been listening to the Marriage Challenge podcast. For further information about our courses, resources and events, please visit us at careforthefamily.org.uk.